Hello and welcome to another Scottish mountain walking guide. Once again I'm in the Cairngorms to climb Beinn. The total distance for this walk is 28 kilometres with 1030 metres of ascent. It is possible to cycle half of the walk using a mountain bike along a gravel road that is at times very rough. This route is also easy to navigate with a clear path for the most part and would only be difficult in the winter if the path was covered in snow. It's never too steep, with a gradual climb from the end of the gravel road all the way to the summit plateau. Parking is at the Linn of Cuaich car park, another National Trust car park which is free for members, £4 for cars or £5 for motorhomes. Overnight parking is permitted, there are no height restrictions and there is space for around 25 vehicles. It's around 2 hours and 45 minutes drive from both Glasgow or Edinburgh. Starting from the car park, you continue along the road past a barrier that stops vehicles from progressing around about 30 metres, and then you double back on the left hand side and go up a very narrow and fairly steep short little section of path. As you can see, on the return I came back down the gravel road, as this is wider and later in the day there was more chance of there being people around and you wouldn't be able to cycle past somebody on this. It's a very narrow section of path with bushes and trees growing up the sides. So if you're cycling, I'd probably just recommend heading southwest from the car park down to the end of this gravel road. Again, there's a gate, but you can cycle round the gate and then go up the gravel road. Follow that gravel road. The gravel road is very clear and obvious. Continue to follow that road. If you're walking, there is a junction right about here. Right, so I've changed the detailed map. It shows here the path going ahead. You can walk along that path. I went to cycle it. It's far too rough for cycling for me. The easier road to cycle is up here. You're keeping to the left hand side at this junction. It gets very steep up this section and I had to push my bike up some of it. It's too steep for me to cycle. And once you come up the other side, it's not quite as steep the descent on this side. And you can see here it joins back up to that path that goes alongside the river. So if you're only walking, just go along the riverside. Saves you climbing up this altitude here. Continue to follow that road and just keep going north. You only come to the ford here. It's easy enough to cross on foot and I push my bike across on the way up. There is a junction here, ignore the right turn, just go straight ahead and then that brings you into the woodland. It shows the 4x4 gravel road here continuing on, but it doesn't. In reality it actually ends right here. This is completely overgrown. So I left my bike in the woods here and then after that you're onto the mountain path. Continue to follow that in this sort of northerly direction. Goes round the side. You can see this top here, but you're going round the back of it, keeping below the ridgeline, and follow the path. It's a very clear and well made path, very easy to walk along, and it's a gradual incline. It's not very steep. There's none of this that is extremely steep. There's none of it exposed. There's no scrambling at all. It is just a gentle walk up the mountain, and you'll see that from the video. Very windy the day I was there. There's not a lot of features, landmarks. You are going up a sort of broad ridge here, and you can see this, you can see the river here that's coming down this gully, so that's quite an obvious feature. You're just aiming all the way up to the top. When you get to the top, you can see there it's very steep on the eastern side, and there's a cairn somewhere around about here, and so it's very clear that you've got to this big quarry and some incredible views. You can see the lock-in down there. From there you turn, follow the path, but you're turning to your left, going along the edge of the ridge slightly for a little bit, and then it cuts this sort of corner and joins back up to the edge of that ridge, again cutting that corner. And the cairn is in the middle of quite an open area, but there's a good sized pile of rocks, so you know you've made it to the summit. The return journey is simply the reverse, the same route that you took on the way up. You can cut this corner a little bit on the way down, and on the way up I think I cut across here. There was another path going up here, but it was easier to follow the main path on the return. Follow that all the way down. Return back down to the woodland, and now this time on the bike journey is much more enjoyable because you are going downhill and it's much easier. Continue to follow that track. There was a few walkers out by the time I returned, so a few more people. Really lovely woodland to go through. It's a very nice walk. You just continue to follow that all the way back down. I chose to go on the gravel road, like I said at the beginning. It's wider, and if there was any walkers, it'd be very difficult to get past them in that stretch there. And it was nice and easy to cycle down here, round onto the main road, and then cycle back to the car park. Good morning, I'm at the car park for today's walk. It's 8 AM. It's going to be a bit of mixed weather today. Shouldn't be much rain now. It was raining a little bit earlier. It's going to be a bit windy. I wish it was windier just now. Midges are out in full force. So from the car park you continue to follow the road here past the barrier that stops cars driving along it, heading northeast, just for a little bit, and then we'll bend off to the left. I'm going to start today's walk with a cycle. Almost immediately after you leave the car park you're going to go up this little track on the left hand side. You see the car park is just there, so it's up here. Just go straight forward. When you see this little track on the right, we want to go to the path that's a bit further up. Quite a steep start there. When we get to that road we just go to the right. When you come to this track, if you're walking, you can go down to the right hand side. It's slightly more direct, goes along the side of the river. It's not suitable for mountain biking. So I'm going to go straight on and up the hill here. This road is very steep. Be a lot easier walking along the riverside, but not when you're dragging a bike. Still got about another 30 metres to go up, and then it'll descend back down and join up with the path that goes alongside the river. The road looks to be flattening off. Descends down, goes along, bends to the right through the valley up there, and you can see the ridge up to Beinn. Southern top looks like it's in cloud at the moment. Northern top will be out of view. It's not looking great. There's just over 1 kilometre left of the cycle. Cycling to those woods you can see at the bottom of that hill there. Then the path goes up that hill. I think it goes up to the right hand side of it to start with. Probably right along the ridge line you can see there. Takes you up on the top. Once you get up there, there's a massive path that takes you up to the top. Never done this before, but from last week's walk you can see the path across the hillside. You do have a river to cross, easy enough to do on foot. I wasn't going to try and cycle across it. All you need is a front wheel to get stuck and you'd be off in the water. Starting to rain. I think I'll put my waterproofs on just now. We'll leave the bike up at the tree line there. When you come over that ford, go straight ahead. There is a junction off to the right. Just ignore that, we're going straight to the tree line up there. I'm just looking back. I've parked the bike at the side of the road here. I'm going to walk from here on in. The wind's calmed down and the midgy situation has not improved. I'm going to be itching for days. So just continue along this gravel road through the woods. It's around 7 kilometres from here to the summit and 700 metres of ascent. On the map it shows a path going straight ahead and a gravel track going this way. The track is completely overgrown. So straight ahead. You could cycle up to here reasonably easily enough. Just looking back, it's a good path, not too steep, well defined, good underfoot. Just keep following this, easy to navigate. Just looking across to the summit of Beinn from last week's walk. As you come up onto the ridge, it's a bit windier, more exposed. At least there's no midges now. Really good path. Just need to keep following this. It should be clear all the way to the summit. Don't know if you can tell, but it's got quite windy. You can see Beinn Macdui there in the cloud, and I'm looking into the wind. I seem to be in a fairly decent part of the country given the weather it's all around. Just keep making your way up the path here. Looking across at Bhùird, you can see just how long that bog section is to Beinn. Off in the distance you can see the summit tor of Beinn. Just keep making my way up to the ridge. You can see the path ahead. It's a very clear and obvious path to follow. Should have no difficulty even in cloud on this one. In the winter with snow, then this path will be completely covered. There's no features other than the actual gravel of the path. It's about 1.5 kilometres to go until the summit. I've got a bit of a race on here. You can see the weather looking directly into the wind. All of that is coming for me. I want to try and get up to the summit before I get rained on. Nice walk this. It's not steep. Coming to a little bit steeper section, but it's been a gentle incline all the way up. Easy path. The path continues on, bends round to the right. Looks like there's a little shortcut because that will bend back to the left or along the ridge, So I'm just going to take the shortcut here. I think the weather's going to win this one. There's 1 kilometre to go until the summit. Just coming to the ridge. And just like that, the path almost completely fades away. I can see a faint sign ahead. You can also see a path going along the ridge. If you're in any doubt, just go a little bit to the right and straight ahead, you'll come to the very ridge line. Summit's just ahead on the ridge there, along the left hand side. You can see the tor of Beinn. Big quarry here. That rain has caught up with me. Probably have to put the waterproof trousers on shortly. I can see the summit now. It's set back a little bit from the actual cliff face. Yeah, the rain's getting a bit heavier. We're really just following the cliffside, cutting the corner a little bit here. There is a gravel path, not quite as clear as it has been up to this point. At the summit of Bhùird. Unfortunately, nothing to see. I'll sit out of the wind a little bit, have something to eat and drink, check the weather report, see if it's going to clear up anytime soon. Beinn is that direction. Well, this is the closest Munro top to Beinn. I was hoping to get some nice views of it. Three hours and 10 minutes to get to the summit with the bike and hike. From the summit you're going to head almost directly south, very slightly west of south. You just want to follow along the ridgeline and then look out for the point where you turn to the right, which I'll show in the video. It's cleared up a little bit since I've been sitting here, but nothing significant, not enough to see anything. I'm just going to head back down now. It's quite cold in the wind chill. Summit is still not clear, but if you look over this way, just like that, it's cleared up. The wind chill is very cold at the moment with the wet. You can see it. Just keep going along the edge of the quarry or the cliff side there. Keep that to your left. It's really starting to clear up, very windy. which was forecast. Assuming you have the visibility, when you can see that ridge and cliff face over there with the big tower at the left hand side, you're getting close to where you're going to turn down to the right. I saw a couple of cairns on the way up, so we'll just aim for them and then turn to the right. You can see the cairn there. There's the big cliffs and the lock-in down there on the left. Beinn is now visible again. So I'm going to turn to the right. You can see further down the hillside, there's the path, very clear when there's no cloud. Make our way down. With a little bit of luck, we'll get out of the wind a little bit. Almost back in the bike, just a short walk through the woods ahead. Still a bit breezy, which is a good thing. I'm hoping it's windy enough down at the bike to keep the midges at bay. They have been pretty bad recently. You can see the road that goes up the other side over there. There's a bit of uphill on the way back to the van. The return trip back to the car park is 42 metres of ascent and 240 metres of descent, so it should be a much more enjoyable cycle on the way back. So I'm back at where I left the bike. The total time since leaving the bike is just under 4 hours. So 5 hours into the walk and the bike and hike. Maybe half an hour or so to get back. Again, just follow the road out. I will say that is one of the easiest paths to walk on. No boggy, wet, slippy sections, no big steps, no scrambling at all. It's just a long walk. From the car park to the top and back is a total of 28 kilometres. This is about the halfway mark, so about another 7k to cycle back out. I'm going to have to push the bike up this section. Some of this gravel road is very rocky, not great for cycling on. Once I get up and over this top and down the other side, then we're almost back at the car park. Nice easy cycle back. If you're walking, then I would go back down the same road there on the left that I came up this morning. But for a bike, it's really too narrow further down near the car park. If you come upon any walkers, even another cyclist, it's going to be difficult to get past them down there. So I'm going to follow the road straight ahead. Brings you out on the main road to the car park, just a little bit up on the right. It'll certainly be easier to cycle than going down the narrow path. The main road's ahead, so I'm going to turn to the left, just down to the car park. I'm back at the car park. 5 hours and 40 minutes since leaving. It's not too busy today. Hope you enjoyed the video. One of the easier walks, although quite a long one. Really nice cycling back down that. Very enjoyable. Look forward to showing you more in the next one, and bye for now.